Hello, so in this video I want to talk about 6 things that I've learned by traveling the world for concerts, gigs. And the reason that I'm making this video is because obviously I want to share my experience with all of you, but also I want to empower you to do the same once we are allowed to travel, obviously. Alright, the first thing that I've learned is to be more resilient, self-reliant, and really overcoming obstacles along the way and making last-minute changes, because they always happen no matter how much you plan your trip in advance. And I had to deal with an amazing number of things that came my way, like missed buses, flights, trains, waking up super hungover, feeling really down, not having anyone to talk to for extended periods of time, losing your money, losing your phone, and getting into altercations. So, when all these things happen in the moment, they seem such a big deal. But when I look back and I remember those situations, they really don't mean much in the grand scheme of things. And not only you learn to forget them, but also they teach you something, and they also become a funny story to share with people. Alright, so the second thing that I've learned is to push myself to meet people, new people, especially when you're in a new city where you don't know anyone. Spending long periods of time without human interaction is not very good for your mental health. There's been studies about this all over the internet. So, it's really important to talk to someone. And one thing that I did, one rule that I had, and I still have to this day, is to always try to talk to the person next to me at the gig. At least just say a few words, and regardless of how they respond to you, sometimes they're very positive, sometimes they just don't want to talk to anyone, and that's fine. But regardless of how they react, you end up feeling good, and that really prompts you to talk to more people and be more sociable. And I had this rule when I traveled to foreign gigs, that I had to talk to someone, otherwise the gig was a failure. I know that maybe that's not the case, because ultimately you do go for the music, but trust me, if you add the social element to gigs, they become more than just musical performances. They become events that you remember. And I've had numerous times where I met people that became my long friends, like long-lasting friendships that were created out of just talking to random people. And I've also met girls, like I've dated girls like short and long term, by just opening up and being sociable. So yeah, I would definitely say that this is one of the biggest benefits of traveling solo, that it really pushes you to get out of your comfort zone and talk to whoever is available to talk. So the third thing I've learned is to book, buy, and prepare in advance when it comes to tickets for hotels and accommodation, Airbnbs, trains, flights. I have missed a number of buses, trains, and flights in my history of traveling. I'm not the best planner in the world, but I would say in the last few years I've improved a lot because of all the traveling, because it really pushes you to be a bit more like that, to be more efficient with your time and your money. Especially if you have limited money, you don't want to just like waste it by buying 2 tickets for the same trip. So that's something that really benefits me. And also, like, when I came home, I realized that I was a bit more organized with my schedule and with my preparation of my week for example. So I'm still working on this, to be honest. This is nowhere near perfection, but yeah, I can see the difference and the benefit by traveling solo, and how much I've improved on this particular area. Alright, so the next thing I've learned is to appreciate bands that normally I wouldn't listen to, or bands that I would know just for a couple of songs, and I would just write them off because I don't like their sound, or I don't like different things. But seeing a band live in front of you is a different experience, and it's happened to me so many times with bands that I didn't really want to see, because and the reason I saw them was just because I was waiting for the next band to come on. But I was pleasantly surprised by not only the music, but also their showmanship and the whole stage presence, and and how well put together their show was. And that's happened to me so many times. And going to gigs in general, like traveling for so long, you kind of have to go to see as much as possible in terms of music, especially if that's the reason that you're in the city. And doing that will really help you to open up your mind to new bands, and also bands that you don't normally listen to. Now the opposite has happened as well a few times, where I would be disappointed by watching a band that I really like, but when I see them live, they're not as good as on the records. I mean, that's happened a few times, but not as many as the other way. So I would definitely say that seeing new bands in different countries is a benefit. So yeah, the fifth reason is pretty obvious, and that is that I've learned so much about culture, languages, people of different nationalities. The way things get done in one country is different to the one next to it. So it's really interesting for me to experience the world this way by going to gigs. And now live music is actually a great excuse to go and see like other countries, different cultures, and meet new people from different nationalities. And this really makes you a more well-rounded person. And I really like the feeling of telling people, or like when I meet someone from, let's say, Romania, I really like the feeling of like, oh yeah, I've been to Romania, I've been here and here, I went to see this band. And I like to see their faces, their reaction when I say that, because I think they appreciate that you appreciate their country and their culture and their language. That's also something that I like to explore, languages and how you say like basic words in different languages, because I think that creates great conversation with people, especially people from those countries. Everyone wants their country to be appreciated. So, it's a win-win. So traveling for gigs really opens up your mind and brings in a lot of benefits to your life. And finally, which is kind of contrasting to number 2, is that I really, really learned to enjoy my alone time. And I have no problem to spend time by myself, like long periods of time by myself when I'm home or when I'm away, but this really enhances that feeling 10 times. And obviously, as I mentioned before, spending time too much of a time by yourself is not good, but inevitably that's what will happen, unless you're going to meet someone along the road, or like you meet someone that you spend a lot of time with during your trip, but that's unlikely to happen if you travel by yourself. So you really need to learn to live with yourself and just make the most of it. And that's what I've done. I really enjoy spending time by myself, sometimes a bit too much, but I like to use that time to reassess life and think about things around you and what you have, things that you don't have that probably you do want to achieve in the future. But one of the most important things I would say is that it really makes me appreciate more what I have in my life, in terms of possessions, in terms of family and friends back home. Because not sometimes, I mean, a lot of the times you just take it for granted because you see it every day. You know, you have your things every day, you have your family with you every day, your friends. But when you don't have that even for like a week or two, you start to realize that, you know, what you had there was very, very valuable. So you learn to appreciate it a lot more. So that's something that I've learned by traveling solo. So yeah, I'm sure it will happen to you as well. Now, all in all, traveling solo has really toughened me up. It's taught me a lot of things, and you know, it's challenging, especially the first time if you've never done it before. And I'm sure your experience will be different to mine because everyone's experience is different, obviously. But I think ultimately you will learn these same things, or even more things, if you decide to do it. So I would say that you should just pack your bags and go for it once we're allowed to travel again. So that's it. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll talk to you soon. Alright, so this is the day after, and I've actually forgot to talk about the most important thing that I've learned on the road, and that is to travel light, to travel with as fewer things as possible. Just because in the past I've made a mistake to overpack and think that I need way more than I actually did. And I remember when I went to Brazil, to Rio for the festival Rock in Rio. I remember I took a huge luggage with me for 3-4 weeks, thinking that I was gonna need like loads of underwear, loads of t-shirts, loads of everything. And in the end, I ended up using maybe 1/4 of everything I had. So it was a waste of energy, waste of time, overpacking. And you know, ever since I realized that it's better to just travel with less, and whatever you need on the road you can just buy, and you can just, like, I don't know, wash your clothes, do your laundry, and you just learn to survive like that. You know, it's much easier to move around if you're not lugging like heavy bags and heavy suitcases with you. So that's something that I've learned, and yeah, that's very, very valuable. This is a Frank Zappa statue.
How are you? Everything good? Yeah, well, I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Well, just a bit. How would you say in Lithuanian, truputį nuobodu? Yeah.